All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. And I say, shalom to you, Akim, out there. And this is a sit-down lesson on this Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, 5:34 a.m. Which is February the 13th, 2022. And this news article that is about to bring out right here. This is from MSN.com. On the top, you see it's from the Associated Press. And this was reported about 3 hours ago. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, U.S., Japan, South Korea meet in Hawaii to discuss North Korea. And it shows right here, it says the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken meets with South Korea Foreign Minister Chung Yi-young in Hawaii on Saturday, February the 12th, 2022. And it says the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken meets his Japanese and South Korea counterparts Saturday in Hawaii to discuss the threat posed by nuclear-armed North Korea after Pyongyang began the year with a series of missile tests. And it says, Blinken said at a news conference after the meeting with North Korea was in a phase of provocation, and there are 3 countries condemned the recent missile attacks. I mean, not missile attacks. I meant to say, let me rephrase that. Let me read that again for edification's sake. It says, Blinken said at a news conference after the meeting that North Korea was in a phase of provocation, if I pronounced that word right, and the 3 countries condemned the recent missile launches. And it says, continue with the news article reading, it says, we are absolutely united in our approach in determination, Blinken said after his talks with Japan Foreign Minister Yoshima Hayashi and South Korea Foreign Minister Chung Yi-young. He said the countries were very close, consulting the further steps that takes in response to North Korea, but didn't offer specifics. And it says the 3 released a joint statement calling on North Korea to engage in dialogues and cease its unlawful activities, that they had no hostile intent towards North Korea and were open to meeting Pyongyang without preconditions. Hayashi later told Japanese reporters the 3 ministers have very fruitful discussions on the North Korea. He declines to give details on the additional measures that they may take. And North Korea has a long history of using provocations such as a missile or nuclear test, seeking international consensus. It says the latest test comes as North Korea economy already battered by decades of mismanagement and crippling U.S.-led sanctions hit hard by the pandemic, borders closures. It says many see the test as an attempt to pressure President Joe Biden's administration into easing the sanctions. The Biden administration has shown no willing to do so without meaningful cuts to North Korea's nuclear program, but it has offered open-end talks. It says, after reading that part right there, I don't think North Korea gonna give up their nuclear programming of the testing of the missiles. I don't think North Korea gonna give up on that. It says, but continuing on with the reading, North Korea have rebuffed U.S. offers to resume diplomacy, said it won't return to talks unless Washington drops what it says are hostile policies. It says the North bristles at both the sanctions and the regular military exercises the U.S. hold with South Korea. It says the test has a technique component allowing North Korea to hone its weapons arsenal. It says one of the missiles recently tested was the Hwasong-12 intermediate range ballistic missiles is capable to reaching the United States territory of Guam. It was a long-distance weapon the North Korea had tested since 2007. It says North Korea appears to pause its tests during the Winter Olympics in China. Its most important ally and economic lifeline. But analysts believe North Korea will dramatically increase its weapons testing after the Olympics. Definitely believe that. Continuing on with the reading of the news article, it says the recent tests has rattled Pyongyang's neighbors in South Korea and Japan. Right, because I believe during the month of January when North Korea and Pyongyang had when they had the testing of their missiles, the short range and the long range hypersonic ballistic missiles, and it was hitting next close to the eastern part of the Japan Sea, I believe. So yeah, that did kind of rattle neighbors of South Korea, especially Japan as well too. So I'm gonna read it again for edification's sake. It says the recent test has rattled Pyongyang's neighbors in South Korea and Japan. South Korea President Moon Jae-in, who helped set up the historical talks between North Korea leader Kim Jong-un and former President Donald Trump in 2018 and 2019, and said last month that the tests were a violation of UN Secret Council resolutions and urging North to seize action that create tensions and pressure. I don't think they're gonna give up on that anytime soon. I believe in the fact North Korea is still gonna test their missiles like they mentioned as I was reading up on the article After the Olympics, I believe North Korea is gonna continue to do their missile launch testings. It says the Security Council initially imposed sanctions on North Korea after its first nuclear test in 2006. It made them tougher in response to further nuclear tests and the country's increasingly sophisticated nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Okay. It says Blinken had arrived in Hawaii from Fiji, where he met with acting Prime Minister IEC Kaiyam and other Pacific leaders to talk about the regional issues, especially the existential risk posed by climate change. It was the first. It was the first visit by the U.S. Secretary of State to Fuji since 1985. He says he started his Pacific tour in Australia, where he met with his counterparts from Australia, India, and Japan. The four nations from the Quad, a bloc of Indo-Pacific democracies that were created to counter China's regional influence. Haixi and Chong held a separate bilateral meeting Saturday for about 40 minutes before seeing Blinken's Japan's ministry, and they were affirming the importance of cooperating together and with the United States in response to North Korea to achieve regional stability. It says the minister said they also frankly exchanged views on ongoing disputes between the two countries, including wartime Korean laborers and sexual abuse of Korean women forced into sexual servitude by Japan Emperor Army. I never heard of that before. That's my first time hearing that. But continuing on with the reading, it says Trump proposed the two countries accelerating diplomacy to find the solutions to the disagreements of South Korea's foreign minister said in a statement. Blinken also meets separately with Chong. He met Hayashi early this week in Australia. And it says the Associated Press writer Marie Yamagashi in Tokyo and Hong Jing Kim in Seoul, South Korea, contributed to this report. So yeah, I see United States and Japan, they met in Hawaii. Yeah, it was the U.S., Japan, and South Korea. The Prime Minister, Anthony Blinken, and met with South Korea Foreign Minister and the representation of Japan as well too. So they was discussing solutions on how to solve the situation of the current situation of North Korea, of their recent nuclear missile tests throughout the whole month of January. And I believe this was the 9th overall missile test. Their long-range and hypersonic ballistic missiles, and then I believe it was ICBM missile that they launched ever since 2017. when they approached that point. And then it was a missile called the High Song 12 missile, and they made an intermediate missile range as well too. They had missile launches, testing missile launches that can reach the U.S. territories of Guam and some parts of the sea were next to Japan. So the neighboring countries of South Korea and Japan, they was kind of worried about that. So that's why they having this discussion right here in regards to that situation of the North Korean situation. I believe North Korea and Pyongyang, I believe, I don't know for sure they gonna have any talks, because the United States are open and willing to have talks with North Korea, see if they can be able to defuse the situation. I believe they saying they violated the currently, and still to this day currently violating the UN rule of them illegal activities of launching missiles. So yeah, I believe from North Korea's side, they not gonna come into no negotiation or any progress, not at the moment, because North Korea, they wanted two options. As I was reading the article of, they're gonna see if they could be able to ease the UN violation of that, see if they can ease some of that, and the current sanctions, economic sanctions that the United States put on North Korea. And they was trying to see they was ease those two things. Other than that, I don't believe North Korea will come to a table, on this situation at hand. So I can't expect North Korea doing any dialogue with North America. I believe they are willing to have an open dialogue, but at the moment right now, if they don't come after those two options that I mentioned, as I was reading this article, I believe, North Korea, they want to have two open dialogue discussions if they are come to a table of some type of progress on this situation at hand right here. Because North Korea wanted two things: see if they can be able to ease the sanctions of their country, and the easing of the UN, the United Nations, of made the illegal activities of them launching missiles or doing military activities or creating hypersonic ballistic missiles. If they can get to those two areas, maybe North Korea possibly can have a dialogue with South Korea, of their neighboring South Korea, and the United States as well too. But without those two options on the table of discussion, I believe North Korea is not going to have an open dialogue with the United States anytime soon. Not that quickly, It's going to take time, But I think in the meantime, they mentioned after the Olympics is over with, expect to see continuation of North Korea doing their nuclear ballistic missile testings, along with the ICBM missile launch testing as well too, and I said this in my previous videos. After Kim Jong Un made that statement back in January the 1st of 2022. And he said for this year so far, they're gonna show their military might and strength. And they've been showing that. North Korea definitely been showing that. And definitely expect to continue to see North Korea to develop their military weapon, their military arsenal, and their military strength, And it goes into the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10, and it reads, "Beat your plowshares and the swords and the plenty hooks into spears, and let the weak say I am strong." Right? These other nations, other nations like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and these will be the nations that are gonna team up together, and they're gonna be allies with one another, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, they're gonna be allies, especially how the way, the United States hitting these countries with these economic sanctions. Then you got the UN talking about the North Korea doing illegal activities and all that. They violating the nuclear weapon rules and stuff, and like rules and regulations and all that. But I mean, it comes to a point, these nations are not gonna take North America's stuff anymore. You can't tell a country what to do. Especially you're not even allies with them. It's kind of like more like y'all kind of adversaries with North Korea. So this goes into the book of Joel 3, verse 10. These other nations said they're starting to show their might and military strength. Even if North Korea, got their situations in their own country, that's their business. If they not doing no harm to any other country outside of their country, but I understand, they believe, these nuclear missile launch tests might be a threat to neighboring South Korea and Japan as well too. But I mean, you think about it, but still you can't tell no country what to do with their activities of their country. Because Kim Jong Un gonna do what he wanna do, because he's the leader of North Korea. Just like I mentioned before, he made that statement in January 1st of 2022. He said he's gonna, in this year, they're gonna show their military might and strength and capability. And they believe they have more military might and capability in any other country, in the world, And that's what you've been seeing throughout the whole year of 2021. Of these nations are developing and creating nuclear arsenal capabilities. You've been seeing these military trainings, these military exercises with neighboring or allies. That's all you've been seeing throughout the whole throughout the whole year of 2021 and all the way into the year 2022. And these nations are gearing up and showing that back in the book of Joel 3 and 10, let the weak say I am strong. And we've been seeing these things, and it's going to continue to increase, So with that, that's all I wanted to bring out. After reading this news article right here of, United States and Japan and South Korea met in Hawaii on Saturday, which was yesterday, because today is Sunday. On the current situations of discussing plans on the North Korea situation. But, like I mentioned again, you know, without those two options on the table from North Korea asked for, with the easing of this economic sanctions that the United States put on North Korea, and the other option of the UN resolution about them doing illegal activities that's military related or nuclear missile testing related as well too. If North Korea says if you don't have those two options on the table, I believe it's not going to be no type of dialogue or meeting anytime soon. You know, and so with that, I hope this was edifying. This sit down lesson on this Sunday morning, February the 13th, 2022. And I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching his word truthfully, faithfully, strongly, and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom.